Welcome, District 97 community. My name is Amanda Siegfried. I'm the Director of Communications for the district, and this is our first virtual Q&A. We want to thank all the family members, community members that took a few minutes to send in questions. We did our best to pick a few questions, and any questions that we don't get to cover due to the time, we will do our best to get the information out via our newsletters that we send out every week, our social media channels, and also our website. Here with me today, I have a few members of our administrative team. If you want to introduce yourselves.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Carol Kelly. I have the pleasure of serving as Superintendent of District 97.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Ebony Lofton. I'm currently the Chief Academic and Accountability Officer for the district.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Arnsdorf, the Senior Director of Technology.
Okay, so let's jump right into the questions.
All right.
First question, what is the district doing to address the inequities in academic progress that remote learning has created?
I'll comment first on the technology. So when we think about the access and opportunities that our students have, we're fortunate to have a one-to-one program for our 3rd through 8th grade students. So immediately when this happened, we had 4,000 plus devices going home for our 3rd through 8th grade students. And then as well as we learned more about the amount of time that we're going to be out, we then worked with our buildings and provided another 250 devices to our K through 2 students to continue that, the continuation of learning at home with the different online programs and systems that were in place. We've also provided a number of hotspots. So we're a little over 90 hotspots that have been handed out during this school year and continue to hand them out as each and every week that we're continuing in this process. So ensuring that our families in K through 8 and continue to have that access for the learning at home.
And I would also say our academic supports haven't stopped. So our MTSS interventionists are still supporting students in a virtual environment. We're still ensuring that we're looking to find out who is not completely engaged with us. And so we're also going out to kind of figure out what those families need, what those students need to make sure they're also able to access a remote learning environment.
I think the final thing that I would add is that the district is looking at social emotional supports that we're providing to students and to families too, starting with some of the most basic needs, and that is food. So in terms of food delivery, every Monday at both Longfellow and at Brooks between 10:30 a.m. and 1 p.m., we are delivering food with the support and help from District 200, who packages the food for us, and then we deliver. The other thing that we have done is just partner with other governmental agencies and other agencies, nonprofits in the village of Oak Park. So every Monday with the leadership of Gavin Morgan, we participate in a call just to make sure that if we find out that we have any students or families that are in need, we can make that call for support, and we've received that support, as well as our psychologists, our social workers, and also under the direction of our MTSS director, Faith Cole. We have been performing wellness checks, and some of the wellness checks will include a phone call and some outreach where we actually have had employees who have visited homes just to make sure that our students are okay. So I think that the social emotional support for our students too does touch back to the district's vision of ensuring that all students have an equitable experience, even while we are in this pandemic and delivering our services remotely.
What are the district's expectations for teacher-student engagement during remote learning?
All right.
So we were able to partner with obviously our union partnerships and all the folks just to make sure that we really kind of looked at the ISB guidance and figured out what made the most sense for the district. So at minimum, we're looking for 2 hours of student engagement by teachers, and it's going to look different. It depends on kind of what teachers are engaged in, what the lesson should look like, what they're trying to impart around the critical standards. So there are a variety of different ways that we're looking to really make sure that we're leaning into that 2 hours of student engagement. And we've been really pleased to see what teachers are doing, and either virtual, synchronous learning, asynchronous, just overall student engagement, we've seen the gamut, but for the most part are really pleased with what we're seeing.
So I think the term engagement might mean different things to different people. For me, engagement is not necessarily direct, one-on-one instruction or even 12-on-1 instruction, whatever that might mean. Engagement might also mean that I am providing learning experiences or facilitating those experiences to engage the learner in the process of learning or in the process of exploring or discovering or creating or imagining. So I think one of the things that I have seen come out of this crisis is our actually reshaping, how we think about and how we consider what schooling is and what learning is. So I would just invite the community to lean in to what that might be. It may not necessarily look like and feel like, the school that we attended when we were in 4th and 5th and 6th grade. But I think engagement means different things to different people. And then as we are preparing our students for this ever-changing world where it's really uncharted territory, we have to really consider like what's the learning experiences that would benefit them and what does that engagement look like. So Micah, I don't know if you want to add on to that thought. And I know it's probably a little provocative, but I would like to encourage the Village of Oak Park residents, our families, to really consider, perhaps reshaping like our definition of engagement.
Yeah, I would add to, I think as this has impacted everybody in different ways and the time of the day and what does that look like. So really trying to provide that a variety of engaging opportunities, experiences, and learning opportunities, whether that is through a Zoom session or a Google Meet session, whether it's through materials that they're provided in Canvas or Seesaw or Google Classroom. It does look differently, and it'll look differently from day to day or week to week. And we've been working, as Ebony talked about, with the union, and today is Friday the 8th. So it is one of our professional learning days, planning days for our staff. So in addition to that, of continuing to provide opportunities for our staff to learn more about how can they be providing these tools and these engaging opportunities, that's taking place today, and we may talk a little bit more about that. But that these days are used for that, to help them be more familiar in those settings for our students. And we continue to work with them and all of our buildings and our families to find the right tools and the right systems in place and to support that. So that's what we've been working as well on our end to do that. So.
And kind of getting to your to what you mentioned, Michael, about our remote learning planning day. Ebony, I don't know if you want to maybe explain for families or the community what a remote learning planning day looks like for our staff.
Sure. So I think Michael's kind of started to allude to some of the things. So we have a virtual experience, learning experiences for teachers to engage in. So it could be obviously learning how to do some of the technological components of what that might look like, but also just what learning and teaching looks like now in this environment. So what are we making sure that we cover? What are those experiences look like for students to make sure that they're engaged and still kind of learning as they go along in this new space. So we're spending a lot of time making sure that we have those offerings, those high quality offerings for teachers to engage in. We've received a lot of positive feedback, and we also want to make sure that teachers are taking care of themselves. So we're also kind of making sure that there's some experiences that are built in for meditation and just overall self-care, because what we know about this pandemic is that it impacts everyone. So we want to make sure that our teachers are also able to give their best selves. But a lot of it is just focused on really kind of thinking about what the pivot looks like for this new environment.
Great, thank you. Okay, next question. Although families are doing their best with remote learning, it isn't the same as regular school in many cases. Will District 97 be providing additional resources to families to close the gap over the summer?
So we've been thinking a little bit about this, no, actually quite a bit, in terms of obviously what we want students to know and be able to do by the end of next school year, right? So we know that this pandemic will necessarily result in some particular gaps where we've identified critical standards, but we weren't able to cover them all. So we're really thinking about what acceleration looks like in that space to make sure that we're naturally building in scaffolds for students to recoup some of the standards that we weren't able to get to this year, while still kind of remaining on pace for their grade level. We're also looking at some different summer options. So if I had my magic wand, we'd want to make sure that we're supporting students throughout this time. From a social emotional lens, again, we know that some are dealing with anxiety, depression, and even loss, but then also making sure that we're also cued into what they might need academically.
I guess the question raises a lot for me. The notion that going back to regular is something that is aspirational. Again, I would invite the community to perhaps lean in to a different way of thinking, and that is, how might we use this disruption to think about how to help all of our students with the skills, some academic, but a lot would be social emotional skills that they will need to be resilient, to be resourceful, to be mindful, considerate, kind. I can go on and on, in their future. So I'm really hopeful that District 97 school community might expand our notion of what success means. And in my opinion, if we've not seen anything in the last 7-8 weeks, is that it's more than, language arts literature. It's more than, mathematics. It's also many of those skills that are intangible, the ability to communicate, connect with others, collaborate, critical thinking, imagination. So with all that in mind, I think many of the things that Ebony described is where we're, attempting to also help our students to acquire. And I would say that all of our students would really benefit from our embracing that thought.
Great. How is the district going to continue to assess the needs of the community as we move through the remote learning experience? I can jump in and say that we, I think it was mid-April, sent out a survey to all families in District 97 in order to capture their experience with remote learning at that point and identify some areas for improvement, resources that families might need. We had almost 1,500 responses that we have sorted through, and we've provided summaries to the schools in order for the principals to look at them school by school, and then also the district to look at them. And again, just to identify, I think, areas of improvement. And I think our goal will be to continue to provide opportunities for feedback for families. We're always encouraging families to reach out via email. We have Let's Talk. Hopefully they feel comfortable reaching out to their classroom teachers as well. And I think incorporating opportunities for student voice as well as we kind of move through this process and do more planning.
I would also add that we really want to seek out student voice as well. So we're planning to figure out how to have either virtual focus groups or even a student survey, because I think what's most important to us kind of moving forward is how students have actually experienced remote learning in this space.
Remote learning has been difficult for special education students, especially considering that extended school year is being done remotely. What steps is the district taking to assist special education students as we look ahead to the fall?
So this has been an area where we're really kind of concerned about making sure that progress is still being made. And we know that students have a variety of supports that they haven't been able to access in the same way. And while the majority of students have had contact with their special education teachers or related service providers, we also know that there will probably be, when we actually return or get a space where we can return to some in-person learning, we will have some compensatory services that we need to provide students. We're planning for that. As you said, ESY will be held virtually, so we want to make sure that we're continuing that learning through our extended school year program. But in the fall, we'll also kind of think through how we can also add additional supports to ensure that we're supporting all students with disabilities.
Great. Who should families be contacting if they need technical support? And also will the district be collecting student devices over the summer?
Yeah, so for technical support, we've opened up our help desk to all families and students to be able to submit those tickets. And it's just helpdesk@op97.org. Our staff is working daily. We're on site a number of days each week to be able to swap out devices or get new chargers or replace or whatever that might be. So best contact method is helpdesk@op97.org, and then we'll work to schedule those to continue to manage social distance and work through that. In regards to the collection of devices, we've deployed, as I talked about before, there's 4,000 devices 3rd through 8th, and then another 250 devices out for K through 2. So our plan is that those devices will remain for the summer, especially with different summer programming and opportunities happening, that those devices will stay with the students. And anyone that has the K through 2 devices, and then also the 3rd through 7th grade, for them to continue that learning and progress. And then also as we continue to plan for the fall we don't want to collect and then have to redistribute and what that looks like. So to manage that, and then we're working with Brooks and Julian for the 8th grade collection to be able to have those devices after the school year ends or right as the school year is ending to prep for students, the incoming 6th graders, and be able to make that transition with their iPads as they continue to go in. They'll make that switch. So again, more information to come of how that will look. And then we've also continued to be in collaboration with the high school for when our 8th graders going into the high school will then receive devices. So to really minimize that downtime from that. So again, more information to come on this, but that's how we're working through the summer and the devices to ensure that continuity of access.
Okay, so I think we've covered as many questions as we can cover in the time that we've allowed for this recording. We again are so thankful for everyone that took the time to send in questions, and anything that we didn't cover in this video, we'll definitely try to cover in future communication. Look for our weekly newsletters, again, our social media channels, and our website. We're always posting updates. Then I'll turn it over to Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Amanda. I want to thank Michael and Ebony for joining me this morning. I hope you all enjoyed this Q&A session. Your voice is very important to us, and we want to make sure that we are communicating with you and engaging with you as much as possible. Please let us know what you felt about the Q&A so that can help inform future planning. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and please be safe.